Two of the cheapest new launches are dropping back-to-back this October. Faber Residence or the Sand. Which one's worth your money? Watch till the end because I'm going to review my top pick for investors. Let's start off with a quick summary of the project details. So Faber Residences is in District 5, your Clementi West Coast area, and that is considered the OCR, outside core region. Whereas for the Sand, it's at District 21, Upper Bukit Timah. It's nearer to the Jalan Jurong Kechil side. So this is at the edge of the RCR, rest of core region. So for the developer, Faber Residences, we've got Guoco Land, TID, and Intrepid Investments. So what we know is that Guoco Land always priced to sell. And for the Sand, the developer is Sustain Land. Some of their previous projects are Sky Everton and Coastline. So we do not know the exact price until launch day itself. As of now, it would be an estimated range. So for Faber Residence, without the S, okay, we're looking at around 2,000 to 2,300 PSF. And for the Sand, it will be about 2,200 to 2,400 PSF. That is my estimation, but I think more or less should be around there lah. Okay, now let's take a look at what's the pricing like for new launches in the different regions. So for OCR, currently we're seeing 2002 to 2004 PSF. Alta's average has already reached 2,548 thereabouts. So Faber coming in at this range. Do you think it's cheap and safe? So then for the Sand, right, we're looking at an average of about 2,300 PSF. So RCR is between 2005 and 2007. The Sand might be overtaking Bloomsbury, which has been the cheapest RCR new launch in the market. So why is it so cheap? Of course, it comes with a price, and that is location. Their location, I'll say, is quite ulu. There is no amenities within 1 km. So I grew up in the West Coast area near Faber. I might be a little bit biased to Faber Residence, but later on we'll look at the numbers, so no biasness here. What I can say is that you will get used to it. The bus connectivity for these two areas are actually quite good. For Faber Residence, right, they have fully sheltered walkway to the bus stop. They also have a park connector. So this place also have a lot of greenery. We're connected to the Ulu Pandan park connector. And within 6-minute drive, you can get to Clementi Mall and Jurong East, all the malls over there. And then for the Sand, you also don't really have anything within 1 km other than your bus stop within 1 to 200 meters. There is lots of nature, but you can't really walk to Beauty World unless you don't mind walking like 1.4 km. Okay, so otherwise you just drive there or take a bus. So what I do not like about Faber Residence, right, is that they are actually very near AYE. The good thing is that their units, right, it's like this position. So they don't directly face AYE. And for the units over here, they get to have this canal, or you call it the water view. And then units over here, they're facing the landed enclave. We're seeing a lot of own stay buyers living in this area for a very, very long time. And for the Sand, this is the location. So the Sand, right, is very, very near. Okay, this is the Sand. So it is very near all your nature park. So for those who likes to go hiking, loves a good greenery view, this is for you. Also low density, very peaceful. And then moving on will be schools. So the highlight for Faber Residence is they are 1 km to Nanhua Primary. So everyone knows Nanhua Primary is a SEP school that a lot of parents are aiming for their kid. And for the Sand, they have an early childhood development center within their project. However, within 1 km, we do not have top school. But they do have Pei Hwa and 3 other schools. That's within 2 km. Sadly, MGS is 2+ km away. Exit strategy, the Jurong Regional Line will be done by 2028. And then there'll be the Jurong Lake District, which is going to be our second CBD. So we're going to expect a lot of office there, more workers, huge tenant pool. And Tengah. So I think all of you know Tengah is going to be a 10 years long thing. So later on, I'll share whether if you buy Faber Residence, is it you need to hold for like 10 years for all this transformation to fully kick in. And for the Sand, it will be the Beauty World, the reserve residences, and then they're also going to build this community library area at where the Bukit Timah Food Center is. So this is the most important part. As long as the price is right, everything is right. So what makes these two developments attractive is that they have very low land bid. So when we take a look at this graph over here, Ascend is like RCR selling at EC price. It's only 841 PSF PPR. And just now I mentioned, right, developer is looking at an average of 2,300 PSF. For our, Faber residents, right, they bought it at 900. They're going to sell or pack themselves very closely to Springleaf residences, but maybe slightly cheaper. So that's why I estimate it to be 2150 PSF, right? But I feel like the Sen can actually sell lower, right? Given that they bought it at even cheaper than Springleaf residences and Faber. So, will developer do that, or will developer launch at this price and then next year drop price? So when we look at Coastline, that was what happened. Not going to share too much, okay? At the end of the day, later on I'll also show you why 2,300 PSF is actually considered very reasonable also. So they might not drop price. When we look across this whole 2024 project land price, right, after this 3-digit land price are sold, next year onwards, you will not hear of such prices anymore. And now, moving on to the very number slide. This is how I'm going to compare these two projects, which has better potential or which area have shown good track record. Alright, so what I did is that I zoom into D5 and D21, view at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤 and Park Clematis. Both of them were launched in 2019. View at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤 is quite close to the Sen. View at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤 is somewhere over here. The Sen is over here. And then the other one will be Park Clematis is over here. Okay, so just nice, we have this perfect example where they are launched same time, around the same area, similar attributes, so we cannot say that it's unfair lah, right? So back then, view at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤, they have, these are the total unit types. Okay, so how I compare, right, is these are the units for sale in Property Guru. So this sort of tells us the supply, the units that are on sale. And over here, the transacted is the total transactions in the past 1 year. So the 1 year transaction, and that is the closest we can get the indication of demand. And over here would be the average PSF profit that each unit type has made. And of course, this would be the price, the average price today. So when we compare apple to apple, both view at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤 and Park Clematis, they are slightly nearer to the MRT. Like you can walk one lah. So they are considered the better two project in terms of location lah, in the same area. So when we look at these numbers, right, what you'll realize is that for view at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤, total transacted 18, total for sale 18, that's still fine. Okay, this is also fine. Okay, so what we realize for these two projects is that they're actually doing very well. Okay, the total demand doesn't exceed the supply. So you see, right, this is bigger than this in terms of the numbers out there. And profit-wise, pretty good. How many years has it been? 6 years. They have gained an average of about 300 to 400 PSF. And now when we look at Park Clematis, I feel when I look at a number like that, right, Park Clematis quite clearly is doing better. Their total transacted versus their for sale, right, is a bigger gap as compared to view at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤. And clearly their profits is a lot higher. See, they even hit the 600 and the 500. But what we can tell from this, right, is the 3-bedders and the 3-bedders are actually the strongest performing unit type in this area. Okay, so this star thingy, right, is because the past 1 year, there is no transaction. So I don't know what is the average. So I took the last average. It can be 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever the last transaction is lah. And we have a second example that I feel is more similar to the project that we are talking about today, the Sen and Faber residence. So Verdale, right, it is nearer to the Sen, not walking distance to Beauty World at all. So view at 𝐝𝐚𝐫𝐤 is slightly better lah. Verdale is also at Jurong Jalan Kechil. Or is it Jalan Jurong Kechil? Yeah, they are not walking distance to Beauty World MRT. So when you look at Verdale, right, they were launched in 2018, and I managed to find a similar example in West Coast or Faber or whatever you call it in 2018 as well, and that's Whistler Grand. So just now I showed you, right, Whistler Grand is just opposite Faber residence. just separated by AYE, but they have very similar characteristics. So they are also within 1 km to Nanhua Primary. They are equally ulu. There is nothing within 1 km. Oh wait, Whistler Grand has fair price within 1 km. So then let's look at the numbers. Both of them have 1 bedroom all the way to 5 bedroom, but for Verdale, right, there's only 2 units of 5 bedroom, so equals to don't have lah. Okay, so this is how the average PSF looks like. Total for sale, more than 1, more than 7, more than 3. So what we are seeing in Verdale is that there's a lot of people trying to let go and sell their unit, but they seem to not have enough buyers to absorb these units. Hence, what I can deduce is the demand here is not that strong. Okay, and when we look at the profits, right, I feel it's quite meh. So I'll say didn't lose money, but not the best investment. And when we look at Whistler Grand, okay, same type of unit mix, also have the very noisy AYE facing, but look at their performance. So the past 1 year, right, these are the total transacted, and you can see the total transacted are all more than the units that are currently available for sale. So this goes to show that the supply and demand is quite balanced here, depending on the unit type. And demand supply is one thing, right? At the end of the day, it's still about profits. So look at the profits. Once again, you're seeing the 600 and the 500 for the 3 and the 4 bedrooms. I think when we look across everything here, right, I think it's quite obvious which are the unit type that perform better, right? The 3-bedder, 3-bedder, 3-bedder best performing, 3-bedder best performing. So if you're an investor, go for the 3-bedder. If you want to make more money in terms of quantum, go for the 4-bedder. So for those of you who have a budget of like 2 to 2.5 and you cannot get your 3-bedroom compact at Penrith or Zion Grand, why not consider the bigger 3 bedrooms at Faber Residence? Because based on track record, right, this area, despite being ulu, if priced correctly, has lots of potential. And I know it's very hard to believe, right, like why, but these are all numbers and statistics. But as an agent on the ground, right, I can understand why these projects are doing well. Firstly, it's because this area attracts a lot of own stay buyers. So it's not like an investment kind of portfolio where people just flip and sell. When selling to an own stay buyer, there's a lot of emotions. They are more willing to pay if they like it. And also for these 2 areas, right, I would say D5, they call it the school belt. You have all the way your primary to your NUS. The sand is also not too far. You have the whole stretch of Bukit Timah good schools, and not too far off from Ngee Ann Poly, Singapore Poly, and NUS. So if you see, right, the people here really stays here for a long time. And because everyone is staying in the house, we also see strong rental yield. So now let's take a look whether the entry price for the sand and Faber Residence, do they make sense? So this is the average price, okay, for Verdale, when I average this out, and it's the average price for Whistler Grand right now. Okay, so if my average price for the sand is 2,300, pre-harmonize it, it's about 5 to 7% difference, right? I take a 6% and I pre-harmonize it, it's about 2,162. So the gap here is a 7 years gap, right? From 2018 till today, 2025. It's about 165 PSF. That translates to about a 8.3% gap. And for Faber Residence, right, if we average at 2150, pre-harmonized 2021, the gap between the current average of Whistler Grand versus the pre-harmonized Faber Residence estimated launch day price is 132 PSF. So the price gap is about 7%. In the past, right, the price gap, right, is way bigger than this. So be thankful for harmonization. We are seeing some sort of secret price adjustment here. So just now I say, right, I feel that the sand can actually sell even cheaper given the low land price. But if we look at the surrounding, right, can lah, 8% still can, but they can make it cheaper lah, because people favor residents 7% only. So between these two, I think a bit obvious which one is my favorite. And the numbers also say a lot, be it developer, pricing, the surrounding areas track record. I'm pretty sure Faber Residence is a better pick. And they might even be better than some of the other new launches this year. So do not cross out a development just because you hear no MRT, ulu, right? Whistler Grand proved you wrong. Not just Whistler Grand, even the other projects there, Twinville, Park Rivera, yeah, they are also doing very well. So if you like what I shared, and you like similar comparison or more in-depth comparison for other projects, do reach out to me, because today I try to really condense everything and do a quick one before the launch of these two projects. Hope it has helped you. Don't forget to subscribe and like my video. And please leave a comment to let me know if you personally prefer to live at the Sand, that area there, or Faber residence. So that's all I have for now. See you in my next video.